How good is LaMelo Ball? Actually, in this video we're going to try to figure that out by doing a deep dive on Melo's film to both see what his current strengths and weaknesses are. Now right now the best part of LaMelo's game is easily his passing. I think Ball right now is already one of the NBA's most dynamic passers, having a unique blend of size, a really good basketball feel, and having a variety of deliveries in his passing arsenal. Now even for the modern NBA, LaMelo is a big point guard, being 6'7" while having a 6'10" wingspan, and Ball was great at using that size to find playmaking windows.
Oh, but it was too late. Way too late start.
Melo can break a lot of unwritten passing rules by simply using his size to elevate up and drop dimes from over the top. You'll see him here working off the screen, and notice how Jaren Jackson comes up to meet him at the level. Most guards from here would try to shovel a dangerous pocket pass through this tight gap, but LaMelo's physical tools allow him to elevate up and just make this easy pass over. Now on top of that size, Ball also has some different passes that he likes to use in pick and roll. If the big is sagged a little deeper back and drop, Melo will then get to this pocket pass. Notice on this play how Ball almost attacks lateral off the screen, and this is meant to pull the drop defender towards him, which then gives the roller way more space on the catch. Now another simple but important skill that LaMelo has is the ability to make quick passes. Ball can transition from attacking to passing in a split second, which really stretches and makes things difficult for defensive rotations. Ball loves to use these one-hand passes, and he can comfortably snap these with both hands and live off the dribble without telegraphing it. You'll see him on this play attack to the baseline, and notice how he slightly pulls Lopez towards him. From this spot it appears that Melo is committed to driving, but right off the bounce he snaps his pass back up to Plumlee, and Brook from here has no time to recover. This pass right here is tough, where Melo again drives it to the baseline, and notice how he uses his eyes to sell this pass to the corner, which gets this defender leaning and opens up the dime back up to the wing. Now probably the best part of Ball's overall facilitating shows up in transition. LaMelo loves to play with pace, and he's always looking to get out and run at any given opportunity. One thing that makes Melo really special in transition is how he's willing to give up the ball early. Ball's constantly reading the floor, and he's willing to make the simple plays that gives his teammates advantages to attack. Like on this play, right after he gets this board, Melo already has his head up, and after just one dribble he tosses it up to Plumlee, which allows the Hornets to play 4-on-3 and get an easy bucket. Now LaMelo is obviously well known for these longer full court passes, and for good reason, because the accuracy he gets on these is pretty crazy. This is vintage LaMelo Ball right here, where he has Plumlee leaking out behind the defense, and Melo from well behind half court puts up this lob that's right on the money. Now let's move on and look at LaMelo's scoring, and this is where things begin to get a little bit dicey. So the first thing I'll say is that Ball is really good pace in pick and roll. He's great at turning the corner and using the passing threat to the roller to set up easy looks for himself. But this is where I think the holes in LaMelo's game really begin to show. Now the first thing you'll notice is that Ball loves to settle for these 10 to 12 foot floaters, which I think he can for sure make in spots. But the issue is that LaMelo shot 40% on all his runners for last year, which for 2-point field goals is not an efficient number. For Ball, there's too many plays like this, where he makes a nice initial move by refusing the screen, and from here it's just him playing one-on-one against a drop big, but he settles for this difficult leaning floater at the elbow. Now here we'll again see Melo turn the corner off the screen, and from this spot you'll notice how he has a pretty clear gap to attack into, but watch how he avoids Butler's body and settles for another tough runner. Now the obvious solution for Ball is to get in the weight room and improve his overall strength, because physically Melo checks all the other boxes of having height, length, quickness and speed. The only physical attribute I think he's missing is strength. So obviously Melo's lack of strength is going to affect his scoring in the deep paint, but I also think Ball can improve his finishing from a skill standpoint. I think Ball really needs to improve his footwork and overall finishing back when he's playing in traffic. It's very rare that you ever see Melo get to a Euro step, pro hop, or play off 2 feet. For Ball, his finishing bag is pretty much just him chaotically jumping in the air and hoping to find some sort of random finishing angle, which can be pretty effective in high school or AAU, but not in the NBA. You'll see Melo on this play come up and split the screen, and notice how Gordon from the weak side rotates over. From this spot, I would love to see Ball take one more dribble and hit a Euro step around AG, but watch how Melo gathers the ball and tries to jump up and around Gordon to find his angle, and it turns into a really difficult finish. Now on this play, Ball's playing out on the break, and notice how this defender's hips aren't squared up with Melo. This is the perfect time for Ball to hit some kind of pro hop or gather step back to the middle to attack the defense's top foot. But again, Ball instead lifts up and tries to create that angle in mid-air. Now another area of improvement for LaMelo is going to be how he protects the rock as he gathers into his finish. At times, he really likes to expose the ball out in front of the defense, which leads to a lot of turnovers. You'll see him on this play turn the corner off the screen, and watch how Melo brings the ball down to his hip, which allows shooter to reach in from behind and poke the ball free. When we look at all the best rim finishers across the league, they're all great at protecting the ball as they gather into their finish. Some players like to keep the rock high, low, or just extend the ball out and away from the defense. And these details may seem small, but they make a big difference. And these are the small details that I think LaMelo needs to improve on. While he does find some success with the finishing style that he currently has, he still has a lot of room for growth. Last year, Ball shot 48% at the rim, which is 20% lower than the league average. In order for LaMelo to reach his full potential, this part of his game has to improve. So let's move on and look at Ball's outside scoring. When it comes to his jump shooting, Melo does a vast majority of his damage from 3. Over the past 2 years, over 87% of Ball's total jumpers came from behind the arc. And like you probably know, Melo has the ability to make really tough shots.
LaMelo looking for 2 in a row. You betcha!
So LaMelo obviously has a pretty funky shot, with his hands on the side of the ball, elbows flaring out, and commonly drifting heavily to one side or the other. But I think the secret with Ball's shooting really lies with his mindset. LaMelo has ridiculous confidence, and that's what I think allows him to overcome his flawed mechanics. Watch him on this play take one hard dribble to his left, then land on 2 feet. And as he lifts up, notice how much his lower body rotates towards the left, as his right foot sort of kicks up. But somehow the ball still goes to the rim as straight as an arrow. This shot here is crazy, where Melo drops down to a between cross, then notice how he lets the ball hang, and he immediately skips into a 30-foot bomb. And Ball's footwork into his shot from here is pretty interesting. Watch how he initially lands left-right into his shot, but then he leans forward and primarily pushes off his left foot, which allows him to elevate into his jumper without stopping his momentum. LaMelo's also really good at consistently finding his base into his shot, even when he gets into these really awkward positions with his lower body. You'll see him on this play get to a step back, then hop backwards behind the line, and from this spot, notice how heavily Ball sinks his weight into his knees to stop his backwards momentum. This is typically not an ideal position to shoot from, but Melo still finds a way to make it work. While Ball mechanically does have some issues with his shot, he still has the ability to get it off really quickly, being able to simply get the ball to his pocket and set point with no major hitches. You'll see Terry Rozier on this play swing the ball to Melo, and notice how the 6'10 Jaden McDaniels is heavily closing out, but Ball gets the rock to his set point and releases it before McDaniels can even get a hand up. Now LaMelo's ability to hit really difficult shots is a double-edged sword, because that ability in return causes Ball to chuck up some awfully bad shots. I think Melo overall does not have good shot selection, commonly chucking up 30-foot bombs early in the shot clock, or getting to tough contested pull-up threes that aren't in rhythm. You'll see Ball on this play pushing in semi-transition, and notice how he goes between to attack downhill, but loses the ball. From this spot, the right play is to either re-attack into this gap, or swing the rock, but Melo instead decides to jack up a 3 without putting any pressure on the defense. Now this is something I see Ball getting better at as his game starts to mature, and I think right now he should mostly be taking open and in rhythm threes, and primarily use that tough shot making ability late in the shot clock. And I think if LaMelo improves his shot selection going into this year, he could easily shoot over 40% from 3. Now let's move on and look at LaMelo's defense. I think Ball overall has the physical tools and talent to one day become an above average defender. Again, Ball's a big guard who can move his feet pretty well, and his length at times can give the offense plenty of problems. You'll see Melo on this play get hung up on the screen, but from this spot he still has the reach to bother Vincent's shot. Now when LaMelo is playing off the ball defensively, he also has really good anticipation, always being in sync with the offense and reading where the next pass is coming from. But I think Melo still has a lot to improve on defensively. The first place where we can start is his strength. Similar to his offense, Ball does not deal with contact well, calmly getting pushed off his center and allowing shoulder guards to get underneath him and knock him off balance. You'll see Melo on this play go under the screen, and watch how Gabe Vincent is going to pick up a head of steam to then lower his shoulder into Ball and completely move him off the court. And defensively, Ball doesn't always play with the best posture, calmly playing very upright, which gives his man easy blow-bys. You'll see Max Strus on this play turn the corner off his handoff, and notice from here how upright Ball is, and from this position he can't effectively slide to cut off Strus' angle. And while LaMelo off the ball does have really good anticipation, he does calmly get caught up too much in gambling for steals, which leads to countless of defensive breakdowns. Many times when Ball's playing in gap, he's more focused on trying to get steals or deflect passes, instead of rotating out to the player receiving the ball, which leaves him out of position and late to meet his man. But these are things that normally get cleaned up with coaching and more NBA experience. So overall, I think that LaMelo clearly has a ton of talent, but he does have a lot of room for growth in his game on both ends of the court. So going into this season, I'm really curious to see what parts of his game he improves on, and I still think he's capable of making a massive jump and becoming one of the NBA's next superstars. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kid should break down next. The kid's here.